The government is projecting a $19.1 billion deficit this year, but it's committing to lowering the deficit over the next 5 until reaching balance in 2027. Doug Ford's government is betting big on infrastructure. They're committing $158.8 billion over the next 10 years. That money is slated for things such as highways, hospitals, and schools. With less than a week to go before Queen's Park rises ahead of the upcoming election, the budget has no chance of passing. But will it impact voters' decisions in June? Donna Skelly is the Parliamentary Assistant to the Attorney General. Catherine Fife is the NDP finance critic, and Mitzie Hunter is the finance critic for the Liberals. All three of them are in Toronto. I thank you all for joining me today. Donna Skelly, I'm going to start with you. Premier Ford said of the Liberals' pre-election budget in 2018 that it was an attempt to buy votes. Why is this any different?
This is really a budget about getting things done. And we know that the previous Liberal government talked an awful lot. They talked about investing in things. They talked about planning this. They talked about this and that, but they never got anything done. If you look at the plan that we have put forward in this budget, it really is about building roads, record investments in building hospitals, investing in education, building more long-term care beds. It's about getting things done, and that's really what differentiates a PC government from other governments. It's a budget that the Ontario electorate will be able to look at, and if they like it, and I know they will, they'll give us a second mandate.
Well, it's also a budget about tax cuts, giving people back these checks for their license plate fees. And so I ask you again, given that you had to change your own legislation to move the budget this close to the election, it's a little bit crass. Is it not, making it so clear that your budget is just your election platform?
No, I think it's an opportunity for people to actually decide whether or not this is what they want for the next 4 years. And when you talk about giving people back, for example, canceling the registration fee for vehicles, for a lot of people, life is getting very, very expensive. And to receive a check for a couple of $100s, that could mean that they can get through to the end of the month. We want to put more money in the pockets of Ontarians. We want to build bridges. We want to build transit. We want to build roads. And as I said, this is an opportunity for Ontarians to look at us and say, if they want hope, they want a future, they want to see an economy rebound, then they are going to vote for a PC government.
Okay, Catherine Fife, I want to bring this over to you. You've heard the pitch today. You heard it there again from Linda Skelly. I know your party is proposing tax freeze. Why do you think that voters would choose that over tax cuts from the party that's in power right now?
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. And it's a pleasure to join you here tonight. I do want to say also, just as a matter of information, the House has adjourned now. They've shut it down. And so we will not get an opportunity to review this budget. If Premier Ford was proud of this budget, he would have introduced it as he was slated to do at the end of March. And that would have given us an opportunity to look at the numbers and actually see if these promises can actually be realized. But they've dropped the budget, they've dropped this platform, and they're running away from Queen's Park.
Well, they'll certainly be getting some scrutiny during the election campaign. So I would, given that that's in the offing, I'd like to focus on what you're offering.
Yeah. I need my fun as a finance critic, though, because they've given me a lot of material to work with over the years. I do want to say, though, that the affordability issue is one of the key pieces that all of us are hearing at the doors. And this platform does not address that, especially around public services. And I have to say, $2.7 billion worth of cuts are in this platform. It's on page 169, 1.3 billion cuts from education, almost $700 million from the post-secondary education file, and also $632 million from social services. So the affordability, the cost drivers that folks are facing in the province of Ontario, those lessons that we should have learned during the pandemic are not realized and not vocalized in this platform. So, I'm looking forward to campaigning against some of the things that are in this budget, but also of great importance as well. Today, the finance minister would not commit that if they even were elected again, that he would follow through on this. So it's a work of fiction, specifically just for a campaign. It's very irresponsible during what we've learned during the pandemic.
We will certainly get to the question of fulfilling the budget if the PCs are reelected, but I do want to turn to Mitzie Hunter now and ask, given that there seems to be a certain amount of agreement about affordability, I mean, listen, you don't have to look at the budget. You can just talk to anybody in the grocery store who's trying to make ends meet right now, buy their groceries. What is it that your party is going to offer if indeed this is going to be one of the ballot questions, Mitzie Hunter?
Well, definitely. And, Premier Ford has tabled a fake budget today and disappeared on the people of Ontario. And it's extremely disappointing. This budget is, yes, it is about highways and construction. What it's not about is people. And there's nothing in this budget when it comes to reassuring Ontarians that their government has their back. When it comes to affordability for the Ontario Liberal platform, we're focusing on a couple of things. We really believe that people should have economic dignity, that when they work hard, that they should have wages, a living wage, making sure we increase the minimum wage and to keep our commitment to doing so January 1st, 2023. Also looking at small businesses who have been so hardly hit and forgotten by this Ford government, who has really pandered to big boxes and large corporations instead of helping to assist those small businesses that really populate and keep our main streets going and provide so many jobs. Under the Ontario Liberals, we will make sure that there is no taxes for those small businesses that have been hard hit by the pandemic for 2 years. And that is bringing much needed relief to their cash flow and to their bottom line so that they can continue to operate and keep those good jobs going. We also really, the Ford government let us all down when they canceled paid sick days. And we've committed to reinstating paid sick days, as well as having portable benefits that provide much needed supports like mental health and other types of supports for people who really need it. Ontario Liberals, and the finance minister says that there is not a choice. I completely disagree with him. So I believe that Ontarians do have a choice on June 2nd, 2022, and they can choose a government that really, truly does care about them and has their back, and that's the Ontario Liberal Party.
So, Ms. Hunter, I do want to ask you just one follow-up question. The last time Ontarians had a choice, they sent your party a very clear message. Some time has passed. So what is the one thing that you want people to know that is going to make them change their minds compared to how they felt about your party just a few years ago?
Yeah, that Ontario Liberals, we care about you and your family's public education. This government is cutting $1.3 billion from a public education system that has been battered by the pandemic, instead of investing in smaller class sizes and in the future of this province. And people can trust us to invest in public education, in healthcare, in seniors care, and making sure that we pay attention to those who deliver the front line of care in our province, and to not privatize our long-term care system like this government is doing with our hard-earned public dollars.
So yes, I'm going to step in here because Donna Skelly, I do want to end with you. There's a couple of things that have been raised here that I think we need you to weigh in on cuts.
We have to remember the reason why we are sitting here as the government of Ontario is because the previous Liberal government destroyed Ontario. They left us
but that's
300,000 manufacturing jobs gone.
Ms. Skelly, I'm going to interrupt you because cuts in this budget. We're talking about something you guys say this is the offer.
There are no cuts in this. There are no cuts in this budget. What you're seeing is a plan to move this province to reclaim our once proud status as the economic powerhouse of the country. We have created 500,000 jobs since we were elected in 2018, and it is just going forward. We believe the best thing you can do for people is to create an environment to attract good companies to come to Ontario and hire people in high-paying jobs.
So let me ask you then, just because we are almost out of time, Ms. Skelly, I want to be clear about this because it seems like from the coverage of my colleagues of your budget, it's been a real point of contention. If you are reelected, does your government pledge to enact precisely this budget? Will you make that commitment? You heard one of your colleagues call this a fake budget. If it's the real deal, will it be passed if you're reelected?
Yes. Yes.
There we go.
It will be. This is the budget that we will table if we are given a second term.
We're going to leave it there. I thank you all very much for your time, though. All three of you, Donna Skelly, Catherine Fife, and Mitzie Hunter, they are all going to be busy on the campaign trail starting next week.
Hi, I'm Vashi Capellos, host of Power in Politics. See more of our show by subscribing to the CBC News channel or click the link for another video.